Hi guys, I'm Tommy.
And I'm Peter. Welcome back to our channel.
Some time ago we told you a story about how we met. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Because in today's video we're gonna continue where we left off and we will tell you about how we moved in together.
Yeah, so enjoy!
So, how did we move in together? Tell us all about it, Peter.
I don't remember.
Let's remember together. It was a long time ago. It's actually a complicated story for us because it's not like one day I asked Peter to move in with me or something. It was quite a gradual process. When we started dating in May 2008, a long time ago, I lived in the Czech Republic and Peter lived in Slovakia.
Yeah, I lived near Bratislava, that's the capital of Slovakia, and from Bratislava to Brno it's 1.5 hour train ride.
Yeah. And I obviously went to work and Peter went to school, to university. So we basically started as a long distance relationship. Even though it's not that far, as Peter said, it's about 1.5 hour train ride.
Yeah, but I wasn't used to traveling all the time back and forth, so long distance. Yeah.
And since we didn't live in the same city, it's not like we could see each other whenever we wanted. We usually had to use weekends at first to see each other. But right at the beginning in May, I remember that you stayed here for a longer time, right?
Yeah, I came for a weekend, but I had a great time and didn't want to leave. So I told Tommy that I wanna stay. I didn't have to go to school, or I don't know how that was possible, but I had some free time. So I told him that I wanna stay longer, and he was like, okay, but he had to go to work every day. But I was writing my bachelor thesis at that time, so I used the time when Tommy was at work for that.
Right? Yeah. So it actually helped you to be here in Brno because you had time to focus on the thesis.
Yeah, I had time to focus, but I didn't have enough clothes with me. That's another thing. So that was the first time when I started borrowing Tommy's t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah. Fortunately, we are the same size, so we are the same height and the same weight as well.
Yeah.
So it was easy. But then after that, we haven't seen each other for quite some time. For about 6 weeks, right at the beginning of our relationship. Because first I went on a trip to England to visit my father because he was working there at the time. I went there with my brother. And then when I came back, you had to study for your bachelor degree, right? To get for the final exam or something.
Yeah, for the final exam I had to study, and I also had to go to school quite regularly because we had another exams as well. So that was a busy time for me. And yeah, it was exactly 6 weeks. I remember it crystal clear because it was a really long time for me.
But then the summer came and so you suddenly had a lot of time because your school was over.
Yeah, and I was successful with my bachelor exams, so I was officially a Bachelor of Science.
You're asking me what you are?
No, if it's the right name, right term for that.
I guess.
Probably.
Yeah. You became a physicist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And during that summer you spent more time with me, right? Again, I had to work, but I think during that time you were starting to cook at home. because you were bored
Yeah.
while waiting for me.
Yeah, I was bored, Tommy was at work, and before that we always had just some basic bread or something, but I wanted more complex food. So I started to look up some recipes on the internet or just some half-prepared meals at the shop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tommy always came during lunch break home, and lunch was waiting for him.
Yeah, good times. That's not happening anymore. I don't know why.
What?
It doesn't happen anymore.
I go to work too.
Yeah, that's true. And during that summer, we had our first vacation together. We went to Italy.
No, wait. Before our vacation, a good thing that happened was that my father started to work for Slovak Railways, and that meant free travel by trains in all Slovakia and Czech Republic for the whole family, for all family members, including me. So that was really great, because I didn't have a regular income at that time. I was a student, and someone had to pay for the train tickets from Bratislava to Brno. So it was a great advantage that I didn't have to pay for the tickets anymore, and I could just use the trains all the time.
Yeah. You were lucky. It was a good timing.
Yeah, totally. The timing was great.
Yeah. And then during the summer, we went on our first vacation together, and we went to Italy.
Yeah, that was a big surprise, because I didn't expect anything, and I wasn't used to going on vacation really abroad. And then one day Tommy said to me, "Oh yeah, I booked a vacation for us, and it's in Italy. We're gonna fly there." So my first flight and everything, I was a bit scared but also excited, and yeah, it was a great adventure.
It's funny because that happened in August, right? And we started dating in May, but I think I had to book everything already in June or so. So it was like I had a lot of faith in our relationship.
Yeah, and I remember that he booked it before I successfully finished my bachelor's degree, so it was pressure for me, because if I failed the final exam, I couldn't attempt a second try, because it was supposed to be on the same week as our vacation was scheduled. So I had to be successful on the first try.
Yeah.
And I was.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
I knew you would, so that's how I booked it. Yeah. And we had a great time there.
Great time, yeah. Then September started, and I had to go back to school for my master's degree.
Yeah. And that was the first time I went to visit you in Bratislava. But it was just for one day. I returned on the same day back because we had some issues with Peter's parents. But we'll tell you more about that in another video. It's a long story as well.
Yeah, I didn't have a great coming out.
Yeah.
So
I just went to Bratislava to visit Peter, and I met his sister for the first time, and a friend. Yeah, so that was nice.
Yeah, it was exciting because it was something new for me that Tommy was suddenly in Slovakia.
Yeah.
Just for one day, but yeah,
It was great. And then at the end of the year we celebrated our first Halloween and Christmas together. I never celebrated Halloween before. It's not really that common here in our country.
Yeah, it's not, but I introduced it more to Tommy because I always carved a pumpkin at home. It was like a tradition for me.
That is a custom here as well. It's been for a long time, but it was never associated with Halloween. It was just like a fall custom.
Fall custom, yeah, but I always did it on Halloween. So I brought a pumpkin and we carved it together, right? And
yeah. It was a very unique pumpkin, I remember.
I got it from my grandpa.
Yeah.
So I was traveling back and forth. I always came for a weekend, not every weekend, but as much as possible.
And we celebrated our first Christmas together at the end of the year.
So I brought some Slovak customs again, right?
But we didn't celebrate on Christmas Day because each of us was with his own family during that day, so we celebrated a few days in advance. And we made that our
Tradition.
yeah.
Yeah. So our Christmas is on 21st of December. Even when we visit my family now on Christmas Day, so we are still together, but the 21st of December, that's our day.
Yeah. That's when Jesus was born in our house. So then when you started your master's degree, you had to spend less time in school, right?
A bit less.
Yeah. So I remember that you were able to spend more days at my place, so you didn't have to go to school Monday to Friday, but maybe Monday to Thursday or something like that. So you were able to extend your weekend stays here.
Yeah. So not just weekends, but more days, 3 days or so, almost every week. And we didn't mention Tommy was living with a roommate at that time, and she had a daughter as well, and he only had a room for himself, and then there was a kitchen area and bathroom and everything for everyone.
Yeah, and they had their own room.
Yeah. So we spent most time in the room.
Yeah. Because when I was single, then it didn't make sense to pay rent for a whole flat, for a whole apartment. It was obviously too expensive.
And for me, it was something new, because none of my friends rented an apartment or something back home in Slovakia, because we all lived in Bratislava or in nearby villages, and everyone was going to school there, so everyone lived with their parents. And Tommy was renting, and that was new.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I lived away from my family since I was 19, so at that time I was already used to it, to having my own space. It was a nice change.
Yeah.
And during that year, during 2009, we started traveling a bit more. Peter already got used to it after Italy and everything.
Yeah, I had no other choice, because Tommy loves to travel, so it had to happen.
Yeah, I didn't ask him, I just told him that I booked tickets. It was easy at that time because it was easier. Peter was more flexible with school, so I didn't really have to ask him like if he's available on specific dates and so on.
I just said, sorry, I can't come today because I am on vacation.
So in 2009 we traveled to Istanbul, Turkey for a few days. Then we went to Scotland. We visited Edinburgh and Glasgow and Loch Ness. It was great, I love that.
Yeah.
And in summer we went to Croatia for 10 days or so, where we lost our camera.
Yeah, that was a bad adventure.
Yeah. But overall it was good vacation. But yeah, some intense memories.
Yeah, but you have to be used to it by traveling, that something could always happen.
Yeah, and it did many times.
And then I started my last year at the university, and we had school only 3 times a week, so I was at Tommy's place even more often.
Yeah.
And during the last semester I only had school for 1 day a week, so I only went to Bratislava by train, then from train station to school, and then returned to Brno at the same day.
And by that time you already had your own key to my apartment.
Yeah.
So I guess that's when we officially moved in together, maybe. I remember it was on your name day. I don't know if name day is a thing in your country. You have your name on a specific day in the calendar, and some people celebrate that for some reason.
Yeah.
So I gave a key to my apartment to Peter as a present.
So that must have been in 2009.
Yes.
1 year, or a bit more than 1 year after we started dating.
Yeah.
So that was great, because before I always have to wait for Tommy, or we have to somehow organize it when I came. So he was home and not at work.
Yeah. Or you had to come for the key to work. And that's where I gave it to you as a surprise.
Yeah. So last semester was in 2010, and I also started working here in Brno.
It was also a really good coincidence that exactly at the time when you needed to start searching for a work, they opened a position.
It was a miracle, because I wrote them an email if by any chance is there a job for me, because I am a meteorologist and this is a meteorological institute.
Yeah, there were not many positions available.
Yeah. I wanted that job, and I directly emailed the boss at the department, and by some miracle he told me that in a few months there will be a position, and I got it.
Yeah.
So I was like really happy about it, because it was something that I always wanted to do.
So you were working there full time, and you had to still finish your school.
Yeah, I started in April, but the school was finished in May, I think.
Okay.
And then we just had to study for our final exams, for the master degree exams.
Yeah.
And then I finished. I am a Master of Science, and yeah, I was totally and full in Brno.
Yeah.
Nothing to go to in Bratislava.
Yeah. And at the time we were still living with my roommate and her daughter, but we started thinking about renting our own place, obviously, since we were together all the time and we wanted more space and more privacy.
Yeah, I think it was mainly me, right? That I started the talk about our own space, our own place, because I wanted my space.
Yeah. He moved in with me, and then he told me that he doesn't like it there, so we have to move away, both of us. And we did.
Yeah, and the apartment was above a very busy crossroads with trams and buses and everything, so it was really loud and I couldn't sleep well there, so yeah, I didn't like it there.
But it was a good decision, and we really loved the next apartment. We stayed there for 4 years.
In the next apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the fall we found a place. Tommy went for an inspection because I had to work at that day, and it was just a few hundred meters from my work. So that was great. I could see it from the window at work. Didn't see Tommy at that day, but yeah, he told me that it's good.
Yeah.
And then we moved there.
For me it was a little bit worse, because in the previous apartment it was a 10-minute walk to my work, and from the new one it was 15.
Poor you.
Yeah, feel sorry for me. So yeah, that's the story how we moved in together.
I don't know what to add to that.
We hope you enjoyed the story. It was really fun for us to remember all the details, because it's something we haven't thought about for a really long time.
Yeah, there's lots of details.
Yeah, it's fun reminiscing.
Yeah, all these small things and days and weeks of adventures.
So that's it. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. You can leave a comment below. We love responding to everyone. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so, and you can even hit the bell button to get notified when we release our next video.
Hit the bell.
Okay, so until next time, bye!
Bye!